Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. New Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk was greeted by European Union leaders as he made a return to Brussels on Wednesday for a European Council summit, meetings he used to chair as the Council's president. Tusk was sworn in as Prime Minister earlier on Wednesday, nearly 2 months after an election in which the governing Nationalist Law and Justice Party came first but failed to secure a parliamentary majority. His first summit meeting was a gathering with leaders from the Western Balkan countries, but on Thursday leaders were set to discuss granting the opening of accession talks to Ukraine, a debate which promises to be long as Hungary is refusing to agree. Meanwhile, Tusk said on Wednesday that Poland was on the final stretch to solve the issue of unfreezing EU funds to Poland. The European Union has frozen tens of billions of euros in EU money for Poland under the previous Polish government because the Union was concerned that the then government was not respecting the rule of law. Tusk said that he was 90% sure that he would be able to speed up the process of unfreezing the funds. This question is of course a metaphor. It is clear that I will not bring 5 billion euros in suitcases back to Poland. Everything is on the right path. You've been observing our efforts to unfreeze EU funds from the first days after the election, and one thing is certain. All the institutions know that we are witnessing the renaissance of the rule of law in Poland now, and no one doubts it. It seems we're on the final stretch to solve this dilemma. Until we have the bills, we have the bills ready, but, of course, they will finally need the acceptance of Polish President Andrzej Duda. Speaking in Brussels, Tusk also called Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban a very pragmatic politician and said he would seek to find a way to win him over regarding fast-tracking EU accession for Ukraine at this week's summit.
So I'm looking forward to discuss, to listen to Viktor Orban, who's my neighbor at the table. But we should be clear, this is not a Hungarian bazaar where anything can be traded for something else. This is at a decisive moment where we need to show that we continue to support Ukraine in full unity the way we have been doing it over the past 2 years.
Hanukah candles were lit once more in Poland's parliament on Thursday after a far-right lawmaker used a fire extinguisher to put them out earlier in the week in an incident that caused outrage. On Tuesday, Grzegorz Braun of the Confederation Party took a fire extinguisher from a wall in the lobby of the Parliament chamber and walked over to the Hanukah candles, creating a cloud of white powder that forced security guards to rush those present, including children, out of the area. The candles had been lit as part of an annual celebration of the Jewish holiday. During Thursday's ceremony, attended by Polish President Andrzej Duda and Parliament speakers, Poland's Chief Rabbi Michael Szudrich said that nothing and no one would break down Polish and Jewish unity. They cannot extinguish us because we stand together, he said after the lighting ceremony. The Polish Marshal of the Sejm, Szymon Hołownia, excluded Braun, who is known for his pro-Russian and anti-European Union views, from the sitting on Tuesday and informed prosecutors about his actions. Braun will also lose half his salary for 3 months and all parliamentary expenses for 6 months as a punishment. The Confederation political party, which during its campaign for the October elections tried to focus mainly on economic issues and criticism of the extent of Poland's support for Ukraine, has also suspended Braun. However, the party's co-leader, Krzysztof Bosak, is facing calls that he be dismissed from his position as Deputy Speaker after he failed to stop Braun addressing the chamber following the incident. Polish farmers are suffering from a flood of Ukrainian agricultural goods that are being dumped in Eastern European markets, especially in Poland. This surge has been exacerbated by the lingering impact of last year's escalated Ukraine crisis, which disrupted the original logistics route. Recent protests by transportation workers at the Poland-Ukraine border further aggravated the challenges. Paweł Lipowski, who manages a sprawling 500-hectare farm, expressed his concerns about the dramatic drop in the prices of Ukrainian agricultural products, which affects his income. Since the beginning of the crisis of logistics for Ukrainian products, local agricultural prices have been on a downward spiral. Wheat prices plummeted from 1,500 zloty to less than 1,000 zloty per ton. The price of wheat has dropped by a third, and corn is nearly a third cheaper, squeezing profits. If this situation continues, I cannot see any hope, even though our country has vast farmland. However, the challenge doesn't end with low prices. Fertilizer costs have surged, putting additional strain on Lipowski's budget. We've not received any help from the European Union, which only sends messages about supporting Ukraine without considering the plight of Polish farmers. We are totally ignored. The EU granted Ukraine limited access to its single market. Although Ukraine has not joined the EU, it enjoys all the privileges of an EU member, which enables the Ukrainian capitalists to make profits. Poland is an EU member. We can't compete under these conditions. It's unfair. 3 people were arrested in Denmark and 1 in the Netherlands on suspicion of preparing a terrorist attack. The Danish police said that the arrests followed a coordinated cross-border police effort. There was no word yet on what the suspects' motives were or whether they were related to Islamist militancy or to far-right group. The Danish Security and Intelligence Service, PET, said in August that the threat towards Denmark had intensified after anti-Islam activists damaged several copies of the Quran over the summer. This is extremely serious. A number of arrests have been made a short while ago in relation to a possible case of terrorism in Denmark. So it's as serious as it gets. And I am happy with the work of the authorities, but it says something about the situation we find ourselves in Denmark, sadly. And it's correct that both the Danish Military Intelligence Service and the Danish Police Intelligence Service lately have said that there is a high risk in Denmark. It is very, very serious. And it is, of course, in relation to the Israel-Gaza. Completely unacceptable that there are some people who bring a conflict from a different part of the world into Denmark. Dutch police said a 57-year-old man was arrested in Rotterdam on Thursday at the request of German authorities in a Danish-German investigation. Danish police said raids were continuing across the country and were carried out at an early stage of the investigation. Police said they would increase their public presence in coming days, in particular in Copenhagen and around Jewish localities. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.